Here's Papa.
Hello, 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel, and today we're going to start our adventure in reloading for the 577-450 Martini Henry. I've never reloaded this cartridge before. I've never resized the brass that we need to resize for it before. I'm coming at this as a newbie. I have done research. I have watched videos online. I think I have a pretty good handle on what I need to do. I may add a few things that I think might help. But I'm coming at this as somebody new. You know, Iraq Veteran 8888 has got a great video on reloading for the Martini. So does British Muzzleloaders. They've got a great videos out there on reloading for the Martini Henry. I just coming at this as a newbie. They had already done all their processes, kind of knew what to expect, kind of worked through it. I've never done that. I figured if you're new and you want to reload for this cartridge, if I make a mistake, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to show it. My grandpa told me that, if you're not falling down, you're not trying anything new. So we're going to kind of work through this, use the information I have. Hopefully I don't make any mistakes, but I'm sure something along the way is going to happen. Now, when it comes to reloading for this, I'm going to take every precaution possible. I'm going to be very conservative on reloading this. I'm going to read all the information. Right now, my biggest issue is finding black powder. Where I live, I've got Brownell 65 miles down the road here. They don't carry any black powder. None of my local retailers here carry any black powder. Even Bass Pro, which I've heard carries it sometimes, doesn't have any. It's getting very expensive for the little bit of profit they make carrying black powder. It might be, Grafs & Son is probably the closest to me that I know of that carries any black powder, and that's a 4.5-hour drive. It's probably going to be cheaper for me to pay the hazmat fee than to burn the tank and a half of gas to go down there and back, although I love going down to Grafs. I'm trying to do this economically. You can really go whole hog on this. I mean, they do make some cases out there that are turned on a lathe, and they're wonderful cases, and they got a little bit smaller capacity, and they hold up well, but you're talking $7 or $8 per case to have those made. These are a 24 gauge brass shotgun shell made by Magtech. They're the only ones that are still producing these brass shotgun shells that I can find. They only come into the country periodically. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get any of these. I mean, I was looking at some preformed cases that some of the guys who had these have made them. They were talking $80 for 20. But I did finally find a couple boxes. They finally got back imported. Got these from Midway. They were $20 a box. I got my dies here. I found these on eBay. Paid $90 shipped. So expensive, yes, but overall, just trying to keep the budget in mind. And I'm doing it in small little chunks. I'm buying things here, a little bit there. I've got a 457 450 grain die or bullet mold coming in the next week or so. So we will explore that. But in this video, we're just going to take a look at how do you reform the cases and get them ready for loading. All right, we are going to try our hand here at annealing. I've got some water here. Got a torch here. We're going to heat this up till it turns about a dark purple, and then we're going to dip it in the water. We've got a 3/8 drive here on the drill and a 3/4 inch deep socket. It just kind of goes in there. It's just nice. You're going to anneal the area of the case that I need to. But let's go ahead and get started. Now, brass is a little bit different than steel. When you heat steel up and quick quench it, it hardens it. Brass actually gets softer when you heat it and quench it. So let's go ahead and let's get this started. Into the water. Just about the time I see it starting to try to maybe go red, into the water. And we're not going to bore you going through all 25 cases. I'm going to leave the other 25 cases for another day. But we'll go ahead and get these done, and we'll come right back. We'll go over to the press, and we'll start forming these cases. Alright, now we are ready to try to start sizing these. I'm going to do it in steps. That seems to be the best way. I've got some of this Lee resizing lubricant that came with the dies. I've also got a little bit of Imperial sizing wax. I'm going to try the Imperial first. That seems to be what most people prefer. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit on there. Get it on there. A little bit inside. Wouldn't hurt anything. And we'll start to see how well this is going to form. And see, we kind of got it started here, neck. Start getting the neck going here, so just slow and steady. Take it out here, pull it. Yeah, we got a nice neck going here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more sizing wax on here. That seems to be going well. I'm going to go ahead and do all these this size first, and then we'll go back and we'll finish sizing it. I'm going to keep the camera rolling here. I'm probably going to cut it here, but if we have an issue, I will refer to it, because the camera will be rolling through this whole process. But I'm not going to show it all. You don't need to sit here and watch me do 25 cases here. Nice and slow, pull it out. Yeah, we're getting a nice, starting to form really nice here. Just slow and steady. Looking good. A little ragged on the top here, but that's okay. That's all going to come off of there anyway. These still need to be sized. I'm putting maybe a little bit too much sizing lubricant on it, because I'm seeing a little bit of lube dents in there. So we'll back down on the sizing lube just a little bit here. Okay, now we got one that creased. Let's set that one aside. I'm going to see if there's something I can do with that one. Probably try to get a little bit too rambunctious on that one, but you can see here we've got a crease started, so I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do on that. Maybe see if we can't pull that crease out before we finish sizing, because that's about where it's going to get cut. Just slow down. Okay, come on, there we go. Got a nice bell there. Yeah, we're starting to form the neck. Looking good. Alright. Looks like we had 9 of them that I had some issues with them crimping on me. I caught them early enough. Now, I did leave these long because I knew I was going to have to trim them later. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and get these trimmed close to what they need to be, and then retry again. But that's one of the reasons I left them long, in case I had issues like this. The other ones here all look pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and run this die all the way down and finish getting those sized to where they need to be, and then we'll need to trim them. Let's see what happens when I try to size these the rest of the way. Hopefully we don't bottom out at the top of the die. Almost there. Okay, well, I got them all sized. They need to be sized down. They need to be trimmed to length. But I got all the ones that sized the first time I didn't have any issues with. These over here that crimped on me, if I tried to continue, you can see where the crimp just kept following down. So we're gonna take a look at these. Some of these I made sure that I kept them short because I know they're gonna have to be trimmed a little bit. I'm hoping that I can maybe trim them down and retry. But let's go see how we're going to get these trimmed. All right, we are in the shop, and now it's time to trim these to size. As you can, they are just a little bit long. According to Wikipedia, they should be 2.34 inches, and we are over that. Now I'm going to trim them here. What I did, I've got this jig set up here, and I use this on my table saw when I'm cutting very wide pieces of lumber, so that I get a nice true square edge. Well, I thought, I kept thinking, I really don't want to go out and buy a special tool. I don't have the $400 or $500 for a lathe to put these on. I could buy that little $38 trimmer from Harbor Freight, but I was trying to figure out what I could use here at home. And what I found is that I've found a cutoff wheel. These are a 6-inch cutoff wheel. I got this at Harbor Freight. This cost me all of, I think, like $4.99 for a 3-pack. So relatively inexpensive. As I say, I'm trying to keep this inexpensive, and I just thought I'd try to prove this concept. Now what I've done is right in here, I've got a little groove that this sits in. And how did I make that groove? Well, I measured out, from the edge of the wheel out, and found out where I needed to be on my case. And then I took one of my damaged cases, and I took a hammer, and I just, tapped the rim into it, making a groove there that the case fits in very nicely. It sits in there good. And then all I need to do now is run it through this. Now, these little 6-inch ones are a little short, so I've got to do a little rotation to get the cut on this. You can buy these a little bit bigger. I would suggest, if you're doing this at home, probably go ahead and use your safety device, but I'm not going to use that on this particular one. These will rotate, or safe rotate, at 10,500 RPM. I believe that's what it says on here. Cutoff wheel, or 10,200 RPM. This saw only goes up to 4,500 RPM, so we're well within the margin of error with the blade itself. So let's go ahead and trim this next cartridge. got our cartridge cut. Now, it is a little rough there around the edges. So we take our deburring piece here. This is just a cheap little Lee one. You can use whatever one you happen to have. This one works well. It goes up to 45, and this is pretty much a 45. So run a few times with that, clean up my edge, and now I've got a nice smooth edge along there that I can go through and bell and put my bullet in. And now these are, I've got these set up just a tad long. It's just a little bit over, however, they chamber in my rifle, so I'm not too worried about it. And if I need to trim them back a little bit, I can. But that is a trimmed, prepped case. Now all I need to do is get bullets and primers and powder, and we can make a Martini Henry round. Oh wait, we've got our finished Martini Henry rounds. We started off with some 24 gauge brass shotgun shells and have formed them down to 577 450 Martini Henry. So these will be ready to be loaded up. I have test fitted them in my rifle here. They fit just fine. They, like I said, they trimmed them just a tad long, but they seem to be functioning in the rifle fine, so we should be good there. What did we learn? Well, we did have a few rejects along the way. This one I crushed trying to fix the crimp, or the seam that was growing here. And what I found out what was causing that, because it was happening on a consistent basis, one after the other, and what was happening is I was over lubing my brass, and some lube had developed up in the die and was creasing that as it was forming the neck. I put a toothpick up, or not toothpick, a Q-tip up there, cleaned up that surface area, and I was able to get more out of them. So that's just something to look out for. It was a learning experience. You know what? You're going to learn some stuff trying to do this. I sacrificed about 9 pieces of brass, unfortunately, to learn this lesson. However, not all is lost. If I ever get a 577 Schneider, these can be cut down to 2 inches and they'll work in the 577 Schneider. So yes, I do have some rejects here, but I can use them in another caliber. This is 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel, and I hope you found that some good information here, something new, something you hadn't seen. Maybe it answers some questions that you may have had if you're thinking about resizing these 24 gauge shotgun shells for Martini Henry. This is 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel, and I am out.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.